Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Sonic Music Releases, the series where I'm showing off and talking about various physically released Sonic music over the years. The last three episodes we covered Sonic Adventure, Adventure 2, and Heroes, keeping it kind of chronological, but now I'm going to branch out and kind of just talk about anything in no particular order. So I thought instead of breaking this video into two, one on Sonic Rush and one on Rush Adventure, why don't I just put them into one because, it's the same series and there's only two CDs of each. So instead of making it two, I could just put them into one. And I just got Rush Adventure's soundtrack recently, so I'm excited to talk about them. So just as an overview, the Rush games have a pretty different kind of sound to them compared to most Sonic music. It's a little more, I don't want to say techno-y, but a little more like, especially in Rush, a little more sample-y and very distinct, and I like it a lot. Rush especially. I don't know Rush Adventure's soundtrack as well. This is one of my favorites right here because it's just so good, and it's underrated. Not a lot of people talk about it, although most people that like it also say it's underrated, so maybe it's not even underrated. Maybe it's just rated at this point. So why don't we start off with Sonic Rush Original Groove Rush soundtrack. This was released November 23rd, 2005, again exclusively in Japan, and it's the complete soundtrack of Sonic Rush, 45 songs. Now there aren't actually that many songs in the game. You can see right here that the first 7 songs are actually called digital remaken tracks, and then the original Nintendo DS tracks. What the difference there is, these are made with like higher production, like actual kind of instruments and actual recording. The rest are just taken from the Nintendo DS sound font, but these are like actual high quality tracks right here. I'd recommend listening to them. The ones that we get good versions of, you can see, are Right There, Right On, Back to Back, What You Need, JJ Rocket, Ska-Cha-Cha, Velanova, which is Blaze's theme, and Wrapped in Black. So, I'll throw the track list up on screen while I talk about the composer, whose name is Hideki Naganuma, and his style for this soundtrack is very sample-y. In fact, he sampled Louie Louie by the Kingsmen for Back to Back, and of all things, he sampled a Malcolm X speech for Wrapped in Black. And I'm sure there's more stuff, through the entire thing, things he's sampled. Fun fact, this is one of the few, maybe only, Sonic soundtracks that has a sound effect on the soundtrack. So what happens is, like, Back to Back, whatever, but then it says I Wanna Breathe, which is like the drowning music theme, and then they have the sound effect to make it seem like Sonic out of breath, and the soundtrack keeps on. Also, I should comment that for this game we have, we have the music called Ska-Cha-Cha, but then we also have Ska-Cha-Cha Blazy Mix. Blaze got her own remixes of the normal songs for her levels, so they're all included on this, and they all sound great. So just like other Sonic music releases around this time, and even nowadays, this was published by Wavemaster. However, it was distributed by Sega Direct, and I thought I should take this chance to talk about what Sega Direct was, because we will be talking about them later with more releases of Sonic music. So, what Sega Direct was, they were an online store operated by Sega themselves, hence the name Sega Direct. I also heard that apparently the Sonic Adventure 2 birthday pack was on there. I could be wrong on that, but anyway, this service was, basically you could order directly from Sega, and sometimes they were the only place you could find certain game albums, and I believe Rush Adventure is one of those releases that was only available on Sega Direct. You can even see the Sega Direct logo right up there on the spine. This is also what the spine looks like. Other side looks exactly the same. But, yeah, I think that pretty much covers all the info, except this was retailed for 2,625 Japanese yen, or roughly $23, $24 by today's standard. So let's just open this up and take a look. So, first of all, the disc uses some really, well, it uses that art, but like an outline style. I like when discs do that. Let's get a good angle so you can see. It's hard to get a good angle on this. There, that's good. Yeah, the disc is like a very bright blue with the Sonic Rush and Original Groove Rush words on it. Pretty simple, but I think it's always effective. Oh, this is where this kind of thing started. This continued, I don't know how many releases, like, in terms of around Shadow the Hedgehog and those kinds of games had this, but this continued into, like, the 25th or the 20th anniversary versions of soundtracks, where they have, like, production notes behind the disc. I actually think it looks cooler when there's just, like, a picture behind the disc, but, you know, whatever, what are you gonna do? Before we talk about the OB, first of all, the back of the booklet has Blaze on it, so really, this cover is kind of interchangeable. So you can do this, you know, just flip it around, get it in the eyelets, and oh, look at that, Original Groove Rush, Sonic Rush. Now the catalog number's down there, not on the other, but it is a really cool like option if you want to display this with Blaze as the cover. So the OB would sit on the CD like this. It's another one of those covers like a good portion. OBs can range from covering just the smallest amount to the entire thing. Like the Sonic Generations one, it covers literally the entire case. So does, I believe, the Black Knight one, actually. But anyway, taking a look at the OB itself, we see retail price down there, the Sega Direct logo on the spine and the front, and not really promoting anything, this OB, because it's not like there was another CD to promote or anything. But, yeah, let's take a look at the booklet, taking that out of the jewel case. Very thin. In fact, it's not even really a booklet. It's just a folded paper. Track list, and these are probably, I don't know, interviews or some information about Sonic Rush to some extent. Yeah, it says right here, music composed and arranged by Hideki Naganuma. All tracks except 15, 23, and 24. 23 and 24 being the I Wanna Breathe and Just a Breath sound effect, and then other stuff credited. So, you know what? For the rest of this video, I'm actually going to leave it as Blaze being displayed on the CD, because that is a cool option. I've never really done it before. I think it looks really, really neat. It's pretty common for anime that centers around music. For example, K-On! A good amount of those releases, or at least special editions of them, had like several different options you could change for the cover. So having one for Sonic is pretty neat. Before we move on to the Rush Adventure soundtrack, I want to talk about what this thing is worth. I'd say around $50 to $75. Less if you can find it on proxies. It is kind of uncommon nowadays. I think I got it when it wasn't really that expensive. I can't even actually remember where I ordered it from. When I was trying to document where I bought everything from like years ago, I couldn't even find an order on any website I had gone to for this, so maybe it got deleted or something. I'm pretty sure I imported it though, from Japan. Yeah, I did not order it from the United States. Anyway, yeah, this is a pretty uncommon release. For both of these, I'll talk more about it in Rush Adventure when I talk about that one. But for both of these, it's more of like, they're very uncommon, but they're not radically expensive. I'll go more into detail. Why don't we move on to the second soundtrack we are covering? Sonic Rush Adventure original soundtrack. It doesn't have a cool flashy name or anything. So this was released October 18th, 2007, again in Japan, from Sega Direct. It has 52 songs from Sonic Rush Adventure, but I do want to... Oh, forgot the track list isn't on the back. It's on the inside. You can see right here, it's a little hard to read the font on this background, but you can see it says like Act 1 and 2 mix. So as far as I'm aware, I'm not entirely familiar with the music from this game, so I think there exists files for Act 1 and Act 2 music, and then this soundtrack kind of blended them together. I don't know if it actually played them both at the same time, kind of, or like it plays portions of one and then portions of another. I think it might be that. Not entirely sure. But the composer from Sonic Rush's soundtrack actually does not make a return for this. Tomoya Otani worked on a great amount of this, along with other composers. Seiro Okamoto if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably butchering it with my stupid Gaijin accent. And Mariko Nanba. Yeah, it was, you know, published by Wavemaster, distributed by Sega Direct. Again, we see the Sega Direct logo right up there, and the Wavemaster logo is actually on the back. And it retailed for 2,800 Japanese yen, or roughly $25–26 by today's standards. So, why don't we crack this bad boy open? There's actually, unfortunately, not a whole lot to show about this soundtrack, because it's very bare bones. In fact, you can see it's one of the only Sonic soundtracks I've seen that's a digipack and not some kind of jewel case. You know, most are jewel cases or like 2 CD jewel cases that are put together or something, but nah, this is like, you can't even close it. A lot of American CDs actually use this method now. I think it's probably cheaper. But opening it up, well, first there's the track list right on the inside, 52 songs like I said, and we have the English and Japanese lyrics for A New Venture and the staff credits. I forgot to talk about the cover art. It's really weird because it uses this like yellow kind of, I don't know, it's just a very yellow cover, and there's this weird effect placed on Sonic. It looks like he's beveled or like embossed a little bit. It's always looked a little strange to me. I don't know exactly why, but I think this background with like the dots and the island and stars and stuff, I think that looks pretty cool. Very bare bones on the back, but it's like a cool shot of the ocean. Simplistic, but effective. And in terms of the disc, it actually uses like that little logo from the actual logo for the game, just enlarged and put on a disc. I think that looks actually really, really nice. But yeah, there's not much else to talk about in terms of, you know, release, because I mean, no OB, no sticker, no special case, nothing. It's pretty much just, hey, that's the track list and that's the CD for it. I'd say it's worth about $70 to $80. It's more on the expensive side. It's definitely one of the most uncommon Sonic CDs out there. I rarely ever see this thing listed. In fact, when I got this recently, like I said at the beginning, I saw a eBay seller had listed it, and I was like, oh my god, I never see this thing go up for sale. He had listed it for $80 plus $4 shipping, or best offer. So I'm like, okay, I'll send like a kind of low offer, expect him to decline it, and then I'll send another one. I have to get this thing, but I might as well start somewhere. I sent an offer of $50, and to my eternal surprise and joy, he accepted it. So I got this thing for $54, which I'd say is pretty good for what it goes for, or at least just, you know, just finding the thing is hard. Back to what I was talking about, the challenge in getting these is mostly just finding them rather than paying out the ass for them. They're both, you know, under $100 releases, and take of that what you will, but for example, compare it to Digilog Conversation or Multidimensional. Those are expensive, but you still see them listed, you know, on eBay, on proxy sites and everything. It's hard to even find listings of these. That's where the challenge comes from. That's pretty much all I have to say on them, because, you know, this is the first video we've actually only covered 2 instead of 3 or more. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed me talking about the Sonic Rush and Rush Adventure music. Happy collecting as always. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.